Daft Punk, Pharrell Williams. Get lucky here on Radio Hits 88.2. Let's get back to the show, shall we? There we go. Okay, so we're continuing on our conversation with author and musician Shadi Shawarib. How are you, Shadi?
How are you, Omar?
Enjoying yourself so far?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so we're continuing on our conversation. I want to talk about something regarding your book. I know it's a series called War of the Nexus. This first book is called...
The Seeds of Chaos.
Okay, awesome. Now, with regards to that, did you find encouragement or resistance when writing the book from people around you? Like, I mean, they ask you, why English? Why not write it in Arabic? Or the other way around? Good for you. You're writing in English.
Yes.
What kind of reaction did you receive from the people around you in general?
Well, to your surprise, it's gonna be the biggest enemy of this book was me. Actually.
Yourself? Okay.
Yeah, I was really dragging myself behind because I never thought there would be a community that would be interested in reading English books written by Egyptian authors. Turns out there's a huge community looking for that and fishing for that, especially at the book fair.
Okay.
The sales of the book, especially by Egyptians, are very surprising.
Okay.
And particularly in the teenage period, like people from 18 maybe to 23 or 24.
So yeah, you're at the book fair almost every day.
Yeah.
How has the reaction been from people like, oh, this book is in English? Okay. Bye, not bye. Well, how was that experience?
Actually, people are amazed and people are proud actually that they've got someone who can write something in English. I've got a couple of more colleagues who wrote fantasy novels in English.
Okay.
Some like romance fantasy. Some people wrote like let's say something in crime.
Okay.
And they're really being encouraged all the time. I've seen people raising the eyebrow, but not in a bad way, in a very good way, that they're proud that there's something competing in that realm from Egypt. Okay. And that's the point that I wanted to bet on. I'm gonna throw my money on this part where this is the first Egyptian high fantasy trilogy that is coming out of Egypt and is planned to be competing with the other high fantasy novels that we see.
Okay, real quick, because we haven't really talked about the book itself yet, and this is something I want people to understand when they're going to be looking for your book or looking at your book just as a, let's say, how would we call it?
A synopsis? Or?
Not a synopsis, but it's when they're doing something for research and like, this is a project subject that we are looking at. And did it work? Did it fail? Anyway, that's not the here or there. The thing I want to talk about is, what is the book about?
Okay, so it's about it's a fictional world.
Okay.
From scratch. It's a world called the Nexus. The Nexus means the
center,
a center or a medium between worlds.
Okay.
And there's 7 other worlds connected to that Nexus.
Okay.
Here's the catch. Nobody can travel from one world to another without traveling through the Nexus.
So it's a hub, essentially, a main hub.
Exactly. So it connects the entire bigger universe.
Okay.
And there are worlds who have, let's say, greed, and they want to conquer all other worlds.
Okay.
Just like any fantasy novel.
Yeah.
So how do you get from one world to another? Is through the Nexus. So the Nexus is actually... the
main
prize.
battleground.
Yeah, so it's the prize and it's the main battleground. So the Seeds of Chaos is kind of like a history book talking about the communities that are living within the Nexus and how they are trying to repel those invasions coming from all directions.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil the ending of the book, but it's going to be very transformative.
Okay.
And it's going to set course to 2 other parts of the series that are going to be much more interesting than the first one.
Okay, so in other words, this book, this first one, let's just say the name again, War of the Nexus, The Seeds of Chaos. That's
Exactly.
the name of the book because some people are asking me. So giving a shout out to Muhammad Ridik, who's just again. The book exactly is a setup. It's a prequel to what's going to happen in the next 2 books.
Yes.
And it's essentially telling us your world building essentially here in this first book.
Yeah.
Telling you how everything is, the lay of the land, the laws, everything, the rules of the world that we're in, and setting up. Here we go. Let's go for battle number 1 or whatever's going to happen in book 2 and book 3.
If you guys need an example for something like that, it's like Fire and Blood in the Game of Thrones series, and it's like the Silmarillion in the Lord of the Rings series.
Lord of the Rings. So it has not just fun. It's always going to be fun. It has a setup, but it has its own story. Because I don't want people to worry just, I'm just going to read a history book or just a setup book. No, there is an actual story in it.
Yes.
That's just... It's going to get you ready for the next thing. Like another example is going to be the Fellowship of the Rings. Yes, you know that Frodo is going to go all the way to Mordor, but you have to know that there was a fellowship in the very beginning, but it fell through.